everything, bold the important aspects. Make sure your font size is the same across the resume. Make sure you don't make grammatical mistakes. So these were just some of the basic things that I thought I'll mention before we dig down to the design of the resume. Okay. So the first section that I talked about was the academic achievement section, or the educational qualifications actually. So make sure you put those in reverse chronological order. What I mean by that is, if let's say you graduated out of college right now, so your college degree should be at the top. Make sure you add from where you graduated, what was your CGPA or percentage, what course did you do, all the important aspects, and then your school, and then maybe your 10th if you want to add. And if there is some other educational qualification that you have, for example, let's say you've done CA or you've done CFA or something else, then you can add that in the table. Then below that, if you have other academic achievements, like you've participated in some Olympiads, or you've done some additional finance courses, or some coding courses, or you have something else to highlight, make sure you put them below the table. I think that is helpful, and that is most helpful for college students, because academic achievements in school can be put forward in college resumes. They might not be so relevant for people appearing for jobs later down the line. Um, okay, so any questions that we have on this education qualification section? Um, okay, I think we don't have any questions over here, so let's move on for internship. Then the research papers and project sessions becomes very important. So you can just have that below the academic qualification section. For example, in my college as well. So just I'm sorry, I didn't give a background about myself before we started. So I graduated from SRCC in 2017, and currently I'm working at a private equity firm in Delhi. Before that, I was working at Deutsche Bank in the investment banking division, and I also worked at Premji Invest in Bangalore for about a year in their public markets team. So I've been on the other side of the table as well, for that is shortlisting resumes aspect and taking some interviews for some positions. So I do kind of know what people look for when shortlisting resumes. So yeah, so talking about that project section, especially for people looking out for internships. So if you've done, let's say, some project in maybe you've done a supply chain project for a company, or you've done some cost analysis project for something else, or you've done an equity research internship, might be virtual as well. You should add them below your academic qualification section. And why I'm saying that is because this section in a way would be the most relevant for someone who wants to know what skills you have in that particular field. For example, let's say if you're applying for an equity research internship as well, only, and you've done something in the stock market, then make sure you put that aspect over there. So what I'm trying to say is, if there is any relevant thing that you have done, then you should put that in your resume, because this is how the person will judge whether you are right fit for the internship / job or not. And if you're talking about, let's say, if you're putting down your work experience or whatever that thing is, make sure you use actionable words. What I mean by that is, if you've let's say led a team of 5 people in your organization, then write that concisely. Led a team of 5 people to blah blah blah. If you've achieved some cost cutting benefits for the company, specify that numerically, that you achieved X percentage cost cutting initiatives for blah blah blah, whatever company you work with. In your virtual internship also, for example, let's say you've done a stock market internship and you picked out 5 right stocks and they made X percentage return. So mention that you were successful in generating X% return by picking out 5 stocks in blah 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 sectors. Don't ramble about what you've done, but be concise and use numerical things and use actionable words. What else can we include in this work experience section? So make sure you don't write too many bullets. Like, I've seen people about in this section, if they've worked in the organization for 1, 2, 3 years, they fill half the page with what they've done in that organization. So I don't think that's very helpful, because you're anyway going to be asked about that aspect in the interview. So don't write a lot, just focus on the important things. Focus on highlighting what you think is the best part of that internship, of that project, of that job, and leave the rest of the resume for highlighting your other skills. So I think this sums up the work experience section. Any doubts that we have on the work experience, internship, or project section? Uh, yeah, someone has a doubt. If you want, you can just write it in the chat box. Otherwise, we can take the doubts later as well. I think online courses, if you've done some online courses and you think they're relevant for that job opportunity, then you can add it in the section below the academic qualifications. For example, some courses that are relevant to my field would be NCFM courses in, let's say, private equity, or some stock market courses. Then you can put them below your academic qualification section if that's the most relevant aspect till now. Otherwise, if they're into random things, like you've done some marketing course, some HR course, then you can include them in the last part of the section. What do virtual internship, work from home given away was irrelevant? So, virtual internships are important if you've done something good in them. For example, right now is especially the time when companies are taking interns and making them do work from home. Even normal employees are working from home. So companies don't differentiate on the basis of whether it's a virtual internship or it's a sitting in the office internship. It's about the work. So again, I'm stressing on the point that whatever you put down in that section, that should be relevant. So you shouldn't, if you've not done anything, then don't put it in the resume just for the sake of that, okay, I've done some virtual internship. If you've done let's say the stock market example I mentioned, even if it's virtually, if you're sitting at home, you're doing some algo trading, or you're picking out stocks, reading out balance sheets, that is relevant for that internship. So yeah, you can put that in your resume. What if it's irrelevant? Can we put it? If it's irrelevant, I wouldn't recommend putting it, because, as I said, the person just has 5, 6, or maximum 10 seconds to look at the resume. And if you've put out something irrelevant, then that is not helpful, and that won't help you get a selection. Extracurriculars, I am just coming at that. 1 year internship and 1 year experience job. So yeah, so this work experience / internship section, you can put your internship as well if you have that 1 year job experience, if that's in a relevant field. And also, just take this off topic a bit, whatever you're putting down in your resume, you have to justify in the interview. So talking about this 1 year internship and this virtual internship, if you think you can justify it, if you can talk about it for 10 minutes in your interviews, then you should put it. If you've just put down anything for the sake of making that resume, and you can't justify it, you can't substantiate with the work you've done, then you might as well not put it. Official length of resume, yeah, I was coming to that. So generally people prefer a 1-page resume. But that said, if you have a number of years of work experience, then you can have a 1.5 to 2-page resume as well. But at least during the early years of your career, a 1-page resume is preferred. And I've seen people who worked for 5, 6 years also, they also have a 1-page resume. So I'm sure it's not that difficult. We'll talk about these courses during the later part of the this session. So let's move on. I think we're done with the work experience part also. The next section that people generally put across is the extracurricular section. I think somebody did ask about that also. Oh, that was about boosting your extracurriculars. We can take that later. So I think after the work experience, you can put what I think the section which people generally put here is the positions of responsibility section. What I mean by that is, since most of the crowd here is in the college right now. So you would be in a number of societies, for example, in your commerce society, economic society, whatever. Some of you would, in your second years or third years, go ahead and take leadership roles in that. You would become the president, vice president, whatever, executive council member, by whatever name you call it. So these are some of the things that you should put in your resume, because they highlight your leadership skills, which are very important if you ask from the perspective of an interviewer. Even if even if you've led a small team of, let's say, 5, 10, 15, 20 people in that society, it's important because it shows that A, you have taken initiative, and B, you have done something worthwhile in those 3 years of your college. And this is what helps to make your resume stand out. So, and in this also, I know college students are a part of a lot of societies, 8, 10 societies in their first year, and then they take up maybe 3, 4 in the later years of their college. So don't put those 8, 10 societies, because that is not helping you make your mark in the eyes of the interviewer. Just put those 3, 4 societies where you have done some work, where you again coming back to my point of substantiating that in the interview. If you can talk about your so talk about your role in that society, then it will be a relevant thing to put in your resume. So I think we're getting few questions on this. We don't have societies. Will editor count? Yeah, of course, editor. So by societies, I don't only mean something like all these extracurricular, dance, theater, whatever. Even editor is something that you've done apart from about from academics in your college. So obviously that counts. Then I think where was I? Doing theater in college have, of course, theater has a very, very positive impact on your resume, because theater. So just stepping back, what do these societies or these leadership positions, or maybe just not, maybe your participation, what do you want to reflect from that? You want to reflect that you have done something in college apart from academics that has helped you to hone your skills of teamwork, leadership, interpersonal skills, communication, articulation, etc., etc. And theater plays a very important role in that. Whether you're an editor, that plays a very important role in that. So it's not relevant what society is. It's the skills you have gained from that society or whatever you call it, that will help you make a mark on the resume and then further in that interview. Should the positions be relevant also? So now if you think about it, the president of a commerce society won't really help you in the job per se, but the skills you have learned in that society as part of participating in a team activity is what counts. So as I mentioned in the beginning of the session, that resume puts forward an image of you in front of the interviewer. So just by saying that you've participated in these team activities means that you would be able to survive in a corporate setting, and you would be able to learn in that setting. So that is the purpose of having these society aspects in your resume. I think someone has taken different font size and orientation. I think it would be preferable to have the same font size, because then it distracts the person who's looking at the resume. But that is a very personal case, so I think it should be visually appealing is the first thing. Education, yeah, we can take it later. I think the internship section. Okay, I think we can move ahead from this right now, and I can take the questions later, because I think we're already around halfway the session. Next section would be your extracurricular section. So as I can see, somebody is asking about musical instruments, maybe volunteering activities, and yeah. So if you've played musical instruments, you've done some sports, you've participated in dance competitions, or anything, even volunteering for that sense, you should put it down in your resume in the last section. And how you can put it is, let's say, you can have subheadings of, let's say, competitions, social work, dance, music, theater, anything, and then below the subheading you can mention about what particular thing that is. For example, if you've participated in, let's say, inter-college music events, then you can put it down there. And these are also important from the perspective of defining who you are as a person. For example, nobody in their organization wants a person who who's just basically only into academics, or I mean, they want a person with a varied personality. So all these things help in making you stand out from the rest of the crowd. For example, I've seen people who have done theater, and that has really helped them in their interviews, or people who've participated in inter-college sports activities, or who've played for the state during their school also. That has helped them in the interviews. And why I'm saying that is because this shows that you have the dedication to do something and take it forward. For example, if you have played for the state, that means that you excel in that particular thing. You pursued it for a number of years, and then you played for the state. So this shows a very critical part of your personality. So you should definitely put forward the extracurriculars. That is what will help you strike a conversation maybe with the interviewer if you have overlapping interests. So definitely, even social work, somebody asked about that, NGO, you should definitely put it, because that shows you care for a particular cause and you have the passion to do something you care about, and that is one thing that companies definitely look for. So that was the extracurricular section. I think one more section which people sometimes have seen in resumes is their hobbies. I think I can hear some background noise. If somebody, can people please mute? Okay, I can still hear it, but okay, but let's go ahead. So one more section that I was talking about is the skills and hobbies section. So if you have a particular skill that you haven't mentioned in your resume up till now, for example, let's say you know coding, um, you're good in, let's say, photo editing, or something else that would you think again make you stand out or would be relevant for the job position, then you should consider putting it in your resume. Otherwise, um, otherwise I think that won't. If you have skills like maybe listening to music or traveling or photography, photography would be relevant obviously if it's that career that you're taking. Otherwise, if it's a corporate that you're taking, might not be that relevant putting it in your resume, unless of course that is an extracurricular hobby that you want to show. So coming back to my earlier point of put only the relevant parts in your resume, because again the person has just 10 seconds to look at that resume and decide whether he wants to interview you or not. So if only the relevant things catches or her eye, then it would help you get through the resume selection part. So I think that was on the resume design and format. I think we can talk a bit about. I think people have asked about how should you build your resume, in the sense some online courses that I might know of. So I think I can take that part, or maybe okay. Let me take some questions. How to showcase a skill selection and idea. And there's something that tells. This is 5 circle and a film. I don't really get this question. The last one, showcase our skill section. The latest question that just came: online courses which don't provide you a certificate. So certificate is not the core criteria of putting something on your resume. It should, again, as I said, if you've acquired a skill from that course, then you should put it over there. For example, as I mentioned, if it's a coding course or something like that that you've learned from YouTube and that is relevant for the job you're applying for, maybe you're applying for to be a part of the data team or to be a part of the product team of a company, then of course you can put it forward. Then should we put a photo in a resume? That is, that completely depends on you. Many people I've seen, they do put their photo, but it is not a mandatory thing. At least in colleges, I've seen in Delhi University fewer people putting their photo in the resume. And even in the later years, if you think, I think yeah, that's a very personal. I've seen both kinds of resumes, and if you're putting a photo, just make sure it's a professional photo. It should not be one you've just cropped yourself out of a party photo. Four circles, dark out of front of. Mm, so you shouldn't worry about these criteria that you're saying. Four circles, dark, five, because you anyway can't do anything about that, right? If you have the relevant experience, you will fill that criteria. If you don't have, then you won't. But make sure that whatever you have, you're putting it forward in a brief, concise, and relevant manner. Then I think someone asked certificates. So there is a background verification that goes on after you are selected for a particular job, and the company might ask you for your certificates. So it is better if you have certificates for everything. And that said, please do not lie on your resume, because the interviewers are smart. If they catch you lying about anything, then basically you've lost that opportunity, and you would have to justify each and every part in the interview at least. So that was just a broad do not lie on your resume. If you have two internships, yeah, you can include them both. Why not? Again, if it's relevant, if you've learned the relevant skills and you can justify it, then if it's an education gap, then of course you can, in the academic below the academic qualifications, education qualification section, you can mention that you were preparing for something. Or let's say that there are people who prepare for IAS or who prepare for CAT, and they have some gap in their work experience or in their education. And if you can justify that well, then I'm sure then that wouldn't be a concern for many companies. Then I think uh, I think I've taken most of the questions from the earlier aspect. Can you please touch a bit on how to get through ATS selection, like some examples of keyword should be used? So again, use actionable words. Quantify the things that you've done. For example, let's say if you've done a particular project with a startup and you help them increase their users from 100 to 500 or 1000 to 5000, then you should mention that in a concise way, like led marketing campaigns for this XX startup and help them increase their user base from blah blah blah. So I think, so you can't if it's a computer based so just taking a step back, a lot of the resume selection takes place manually, as well as some companies might use automated resume selectors as well. So if you're trying to get your resume past both of them, then I think for the manual aspect, all these things would definitely hold a lot of importance. For the that thing, the computer thing, a lot of the things that they check is, for first thing would be the academic CGPA percentage, whatever. If that is above a certain threshold, which differs from company to company, then if you have the relevant work experience in terms of number of years, that is something that, again, so that is not something that you can control. Third, if you have relevant work experience in that industry. So these are some of the things that you should make sure when you are applying to a particular job, that you fit for that role or not. So read the job description or project description, internship, whatever is relevant for you carefully, because I've seen many people who apply to whatever opportunity that comes to them. So just stressing on that a bit, customize your resume as per whatever opportunity you are applying for. For example, let's say if you're applying for a finance role, since I'm from the industry, so I prefer taking examples from the finance industry. Let's say you're applying for a role in the stock market industry, and if you've done some stock market courses, some analysis of financial statement courses, or anything basically, then make sure you put that above the other things. You bold that aspect. Or if you've done some relevant internships in that area, so make sure that if in the that you won't highlight if you're going for a internship or for a job in the development sector or in the, let's say, marketing sector. But if it's relevant for the finance sector, then put it up, highlight it, make sure you talk about it in your interview. So customize your resume as per the opportunity that's come forward. Research internship in a different field than yeah, of course. So again, as I mentioned, everything need not be relevant to that role. For example, your president in a commerce society won't be relevant if you're applying for a marketing position per se, but the skills you have learned from that, the interpersonal skills, the leadership skills, teamwork skills, communication skills, blah blah blah, that would be relevant for you to do well in that company. So obviously it makes sense to include it, because this research internship would show that you have the capability for research, you have the skills, the necessary dedication maybe to pursue a research internship. And research is a very broad field. You people do research in one area and then do research in another area, but it's the skill that is important at the end of the day. So I think this part we are mostly done with. I think few people mentioned on how to build your resume. So one thing that I can talk about maybe is online courses. So these days, a lot of online courses have gained a lot of prominence, be it on websites like Udemy, Coursera, edX, and I think a lot of them are offering it for highly discounted prices as well. So make sure you take advantage of that if you want to build your skills in any particular field, and you can put that in your resume also. And even if you at the end decide to not put it, then that will just help you build your skill set. So no harm in doing that. Then secondly, you can learn. And secondly, talking about the extracurricular aspect that someone asked some time back. So it's okay if you haven't like played at the state level or district level, but if you have interest in a particular area, and if there is a particular place where you can um, go ahead with that extracurricular thing, for example theater someone mentioned, then make sure you participate in theater events in college. That will just not only looking at it from the resume building perspective, but that will also help you to gain confidence and build all those skills that I've been talking about multiple times. So extracurriculars is an important part that I would stress on. Then a third thing that I mentioned was societies. So in college, I think societies are one of the ways where you can learn a lot. So for those people who are in their college years right now, first, second year, whatever, try to take part in societies and then try to take leadership positions in them, because again, not only from the resume building part, but they teach you a lot um, about, let's say, handling a team of people, or getting things done, organizing fests, writing Facebook posts for that matter, marketing, sponsorship. So yeah, if you have got the opportunity in your college, if you have societies, then I think you should definitely participate in them. Then I think third part someone mentioned was NGO or volunteering activity. I think you should, if you have an opportunity, you should go ahead with it. And again, not only from the resume building perspective, but it gives you something to talk about in the interview. Don't do it if you are not passionate about it. That's my personal opinion. If you genuinely care for a particular cause, if there is a society in college, if there is another some external body that you know of, something near your home or something that you could do on weekends, then you should engage in that. One thing that I know that people do is Teach for India fellowship, or I think Teach for India was the one that most people do these days. Yeah, so you can enroll and be a part of that. Then there are obviously NGOs like MAD, Cry, Goonj, that take volunteers for weekend sessions and all. So if you don't have an opportunity in college, then I'm sure there are a number of things that you can do outside college as well. Then I think what else? So if you can do something in the research side, or if you can take up side projects. For example, for people who are interested in, let's say, writing, I've seen a lot of them take content writing internships with online websites, journals, or anything, and hone their skills, because this is something that you can do while not sitting in a corporate office, and you can do basically while studying as well. So if you can take the such as side projects like these, that will just help you build on your skills and on your resume as well. Um, then Okay, I think let's take a few more questions now. What would be an ideal resume for IBP role, since you've experienced that firsthand? Like weightage of section and on skills courses, since these jobs have stiff competition. Yeah, so obviously these jobs have skill competition, but when you talk about an ideal resume, I would say that again the resume shows a picture of you. So an ideal resume would be that shows who you personality. So, talking about the kind of people that I have worked with, one of my colleague was a state basketball player. Someone I know was in the dance society of his or her of his college. Then someone had led a social entrepreneurship project in college. Then someone had been a part of one of the biggest fests in college. So it's a varied class of people. So there is no ideal resume to say, but one thing that I would say was common across all of them was that they had strong internships. So if you can get that in your college, that will be very helpful, because at the time of recruitment, at least for IBP firm, they'd look for so these internships might not be in the IB or PE space only, they can be in other spaces as well, but they look for the skills that you have learned in these internships that you've done. They look for interpersonal skills, which is very important, as I've been mentioning multiple times. So, in an interview, if you've not been a part of an interview yet, you will understand that other than the technical questions, the HR questions play a very important role in any interview. They try to understand if you have the attitude to say, not only the aptitude, but the attitude to learn the skills on the job and survive in a corporate setup. So if what so my again coming back, my advice would be, there is nothing ideal about a resume, but if you can sum it up, whatever you've done in your college project, internship, extracurricular activities, in a concise manner, put on the relevant points, and then justify it in your interview, that would help you sail through. um Someone asked, I have no skills in sport, but I'm interested in that. So if you're interested in that, then you should, if you can, you should try to play something in your college, or maybe in your society, or start learning it. Maybe that will be helpful. So if you might not be that relevant in putting it in your resume, because there are obviously other things that you can put then, but that might be relevant from the point of an interview, because one question that interviewers generally ask is that if I were to say this person not not studying in college, then what would he or she be doing? Then you can talk about that. Let's say you're learning cricket, or you're learning drums or whatever, and that just shows a different aspect to your personality, which is very important. Then if you want to apply for equity research profile, what roles you can do? What courses you can do? So as I mentioned, there are a number of online websites these days, like Coursera, Udemy, edX. You can see the courses over there. There are a number of stock market courses on these three websites. Then there is one internship that people used to do back in my college days, which was called the Rolling Money Roller project or something like that. I'm forgetting the name, but that was purely an equity research sort of an internship. Second was that. Then thirdly, NCFM courses is another thing that people used to do back then. NCFM is basically accredited by the NSE, by National Stock Exchange. So they have their own online courses, and they're good in terms of knowledge enhancement. So you can look at these these 3-4 sources that I mentioned. Financial modeling course important, fund administrator job. I think that would depend a lot on the job description. Fund administrator role. So in the finance sector per se, financial modeling is an important skill, at least in investment banking and private equity, and all these areas. So if you can get financial modeling experience, that is well and good. But even if during the college days you are not able to get that, not a matter of concern, because at the end you're gonna learn that on the job as well. Mm, if we have some other questions, then guys, you can put it on the chat box, or maybe for those of you seated on the seats, if you have a question, then you can unmute yourself and ask. Best way to find projects regarding fixed income. So for fixed income also, I don't specialize in that field, but I've seen a lot of people doing courses on all these bond prices, yields, and all these things on these three websites. And today there are a number of, for example, all these big colleges, they have their courses online free of cost, especially because of this COVID scenario. So you can do a quick Google search, and that will help you find out these courses. Just a minute, just a minute. Yeah, sorry. Um, yeah, I can post my link. Someone's asking for my contact details, so I'll post my LinkedIn profile over here. I'm Rachita Kumar, by the way, so you can contact me. You can search me up with that. How much it matters if you have done courses related to your field. So obviously it's helpful if you have done courses related to your field, but that said, you guys are in college right now, so it's very difficult for a person to pinpoint that, okay, in the second year of college I want to do finance, I want to do marketing, I want to go for consulting. So it's not the end of the world if you don't have courses in that particular field, because companies do understand that you are in that phase of figuring out what field you want to get into. But just that you have done some courses, or you've done some project, some internship in any field that you thought was relevant for you back then, just shows that you have taken the initiative and you have the attitude of learning. So again, mentioning the point that it's not about the aptitude which companies look for, it's a lot about the attitude. I'm currently looking for actuarial role, but not getting calls from anywhere. Best way to get my resume selected for getting calls. So this is so I think this is a difficult situation for people who are trying to get jobs because of this whole COVID scenario. But that said, all these resume pointers that I just mentioned, make sure that you incorporate that. And one more thing, if you're applying for an actuarial role, then it would be helpful for you to contact people in this field that you know of and get your resume proofread from them, because they would be the best people to tell you what do actuarial people look for when hiring a candidate. So whatever number of papers you've cleared, I'm aware that there are a number of papers for actuarial studies. So if there's anything particular that you should highlight for an actuarial role, that would be helpful. And then I think if you just cold messaging people, then LinkedIn is the best source for you to tap into uh, maybe for opportunities that would be available at this time. Let's get down to the next question. I'm electrical department, but they're necessary to programming. So I'm not an engineer. I'm from commerce background. But that said, there are a number of roles that are open for engineers as well who do not have a lot of high coding background. For example, I have had engineers in my previous organization who were doing investment banking with me. Then engineers go ahead to pursue consulting, then they go ahead to pursue marketing. So even if you don't have Java, Python, and all these courses, and you don't want to pursue a high tech role also, no, you don't want to be in the tech team of a particular company, then it won't really matter. You can go ahead and pursue any of the other career options out there. Then then want to pursue MBA after graduation. Which type of, so MBA is a different game altogether. And you're going for an MBA, They won't look for how well you have done in your previous job, or because many of the students don't even have a job experience if they want to go right after college. That is what you want to do. So for them, a lot of the questions would be, why do you want to do MBA? Why now? What do you want to do post your MBA? Or maybe they want to look at what you've done in college and what skills, what kind of a personality would you bring to the MBA college. Basically, how would you add to your class? So a lot of those questions would be around knowing you more, knowing you as a person, and obviously very, or actually negligible technical questions, as it's the case of a job interview. So if you're I think that should have. So there are not any particular courses if you're just looking to pursue MBA after graduation, because MBA universities understand that you want to pursue their course so that you can pursue other career opportunities, whatever. So they don't look for any online courses, is what my understanding is. I have not done MBA, so might not be the best person for this. Um, just a minute. Next would be, if we didn't do, no, nothing. What if we didn't do any internship? Will that? So I think today we are in a very